Bihari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Kunja Bihari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai Om Vishnu Pad Parahamsa Parivrajgacharya Ashtotar Shata Shri Srimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakti Vrinda Ki Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gop Gopinath Shamakund Radhakund Giri Govardhan Ki Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Shri Mayapur Dham Ki Gangamata ki, Yamuna Mai ki, Bhakti Devi ki, Tulasi Devi ki, Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Gaur Premanande. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Shri Guru and Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuram Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale, Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamini Iti Namine, Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine, Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Dishatarine. Hare Krishna. So today we're reading from Transcendental Diaries by His Grace Hari Story Prabhu. And we're in Bombay. It's chapter 4 and it is the 24th of December 1975. This is Srila Prabhupada's final day in Bombay. He is scheduled to go to Gujarat tomorrow. Dr. Patel joined us again on the beach, his good humor restored. The doctor had previously extolled the value of experimentation in search for truth, so Prabhupada took it up as today's theme. He challenged Dr. Patel why the truth should be the subject of experimentation. If one knows the truth, he said, there is no question of experiment. As usual, after some debate, Dr. Patel concurred. Prabhupada emphasized the principle that although the method of searching for the truth may be experimented with, the truth itself is not subject to experimentation. So we can understand that the truth is actually absolute. So that's first verse of Bhagavatam, the very first verse. Satyam, it ends with Satyam Param Dhimahi, and we can meditate on Krishna. He's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He's the absolute truth. So truth is absolute, although our endeavor to find the absolute truth by different means may be different. although we're given a prescription, a particular prescription, how to find the absolute truth, still the absolute truth cannot itself change, although our endeavor to find it may change according to us as individuals. But it's also true that because we're individual souls, our experience of the absolute truth is, in a sense, it's relative, because we all have different relationships with Krishna. Some will relate to Krishna as his mother, some as his friend. So there's different relationships to the absolute truth because we're individuals. But the absolute truth itself can never be changed. It's absolute. So Srila Prabhupada is pointing that out, that there's no question of experimenting on the absolute truth. It cannot change. As we headed back toward the temple, we observed men and women on Juhu Beach going through their daily routines, vigorously swinging their arms and legs, bending and stretching in imitation of the Western mania for exercise. In Bombay especially, Indians are obviously becoming more and more interested in their bodies and less interested in their souls. Lokanath Swami asked what it is that creates the attraction between men and women, since all bodies are made of the same ingredients. So we know we're all made up of earth, water, air, fire, ether, all of us, we're made up of the same things, men and women. So why is it that there is some attraction? This is what Lokanath is asking Srila Prabhupada. And Srila Prabhupada gave a very elaborate reply. He said, you want to be attracted. God has made in such a way that both of them are attracted to one another. That's all. You want to be attracted, therefore woman is made attractive. And the woman wants to be attracted. Man is attractive. This is nature's arrangement so that you may be bound up by this attraction. You are already bound up, and by this attraction you will be more tightly bound up. The whole material attraction means a man's attraction for a woman and a woman's attraction for man. But when they are seeking, where is the woman, where is a woman, where is a woman, and the woman is seeking, they come here to make this business, and when they are actually attracted or united, then this bondage will become more tight. So Srila Prabhupada is explaining that Krishna is fulfilling our desire to live here in this material world and experience this attraction for the opposite sex. It's because we desired that, and he's fulfilling that desire. Therefore, the Vedic civilization is how to slacken it, and ultimately by force, separation, sannyas. Because unless they are separated, there cannot be any spiritual advancement. This is the whole process. Their unity is bondage. I've written a letter that man is good, woman is good, but when they are united, they are bad. So, and then Srila Prabhupada, he laughs and he says, both of them are bad. Because in this material world, man is good because he's a part and parcel of God, and woman is good, she's a part and parcel of God, but when they're together, they become bad. And I was hearing a class from Srila Prabhupada explaining something similar, that actually nothing is bad, but if the effect it has on you is bad, then it's bad. Like alcohol. What is alcohol? Sugar, fruit, it's fermented. It's not bad, but then when you make it into alcohol and you ingest that, the effect it has on your consciousness, then it's bad. So similarly, women and men, all of us are parts and parcels of the Supreme Lord. But Prabhupada is pointing out that when they're uniting in a mood of sense gratification, then it becomes bad for spiritual life. It becomes bad for the consciousness. Because actually, the highest so-called sense gratification in this material world is sex life. And therefore, it's like the epitome of our desire to enjoy separately from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And therefore, it's the thing that causes the most bondage in this material world, if people become absorbed in that. And my Guru Maharaj, he was explaining that actually when men and women initially are in a relationship and their attraction is very strong to one another, then their absorption is so complete in one another that it's actually samadhi. It's like samadhi, but what is samadhi meant for? It's meant actually for absorption in the Supreme Lord. We can rather try to absorb our consciousness in the Supreme Lord instead of just becoming absorbed in someone of the opposite sex, because that just leads to more and more entanglement and more bondage in this material world. Because we might think that actually family life, it's not selfish, because you're serving your children, you're serving your family. What's selfish about that? But my Guru Maharaj again, he explains that actually this is extended sense gratification. So you have your little expansions, your children, and you're serving them. Still, if the center is not Krishna, then it's just sense gratification as well. But we shall read later how actually Srila Prabhupada, he says that actually a spirit of detachment must be there. Ultimately, no matter what the external dress is, if a householder is working only for Krishna, then he is also a sannyasi. So actually, yes, marriage life is there, so it's not completely condemned, of course not. And actually, in Kali Yuga, I was hearing how most people will be married, men and women. It's difficult in Kali Yuga for people to remain unmarried. It is a safe ashram if it's practiced properly. It's an ashram, and it's the safe side, as spiritual master said. But still, a spirit of detachment has to be there. And there was one devotee, she was a mother of a child who was in hospital. And her child was so sick, he was about to leave his body. And her Guru Maharaj asked her, if you could see Krishna right now, or if you could see your child get better, which of those would you choose? And immediately, without thinking, she said, I want to see my son get better. She didn't even think about it. And my spiritual master explained that if she had that much attachment for Krishna, she would have been on a level of a Shakti. She would have had so much of a ras with Krishna. But she chose her son. So all of us, we get entangled in this world, relating to other people, becoming attached. But if we actually shifted that attention to Krishna, we'd become very advanced actually. And it's explained that although the devotee, he's in Grihastha ashram, internally he must be detached. Externally he may appear attached, and he can say, yes, I will make your lives comfortable, I will take care of my family, I will look after you all very nicely. But internally he's not interested in the house, the car, the job. He's not really so interested in that as much as he is interested in serving the Lord. So externally it looks like, yes, he's going through the motions, he's taking care of everyone, but internally he's completely detached. And that's what a sannyasi actually is. Whether you're in saffron with a dando or not, whether you have a family or at a job, both are sannyasis if internally you are renounced from your circumstances. So, now we're on a new section. It says, I spent the day, so this is Hari Sori Prabhu speaking, I spent the day packing and preparing for tomorrow's trip. Several village programs have been arranged, and Srila Prabhupada is very enthusiastic. He stressed the importance of preaching in the villages, telling Hansaduta, Harikesh and me that he had a long cherished desire to preach from village to village in India. Prior to coming to the West, he was unable to do it, but now he is getting the opportunity to fulfill his desire. So we know India is a place full with many pious people. So many pious people are living there. And in the previous class, I was explaining how the demigods, they pray to take birth in India, although their lives are very nice, just to be able to practice here in Kali Yuga and get that mercy from Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So the people there in India, they're actually very spiritually advanced. And Srila Prabhupada desires to go and reawaken their natural inclination to practice spiritual life. And it was actually Lord Chaitanya who said that in every town and village my name will be chanted. And then Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he says that he predicted that a personality would appear and travel all over the world to spread the Sankirtan of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And that personality was Srila Prabhupada. And we're getting to read about how he was doing that. We're getting to hear about how he actually went from village to village to spread the holy names. So we're very fortunate. Okay. So now we're on chapter 5. It's still the 25th of December, but Srila Prabhupada travels to Ahmedabad. And there they reach this large group of people in an open field. So they're going to a program here. It says that these people, they clamored excitedly around a small colorful stage erected for Srila Prabhupada's arrival. Srila Prabhupada sat, serene and comfortable, on a raised dais, wreathed in about 20 garlands of marigolds and roses. Our host, the portly and venerable king of Sanand, with his long white beard and wearing a large red turban, sat at his side. A chowkidar sheltered Prabhupada from the sun with a large red velvet ceremonial umbrella. So here, Srila Prabhupada is associating with this king, Sanand, who has invited him to take part in this program. But we might recall what happened with King Prataparudra in Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes. The king, when he heard about Lord Chaitanya, he had such a strong desire to meet Lord Chaitanya. But Lord Chaitanya refused to meet with the king and explained that a sannyasi doesn't associate with such people. He doesn't associate with people who are worldly minded. He doesn't associate with people who live in great opulence. So Lord Chaitanya refused to meet with the king, and the king was so despondent, so sad that he couldn't meet Lord Chaitanya. But then during Ratha Yatra, when the Lord fainted in ecstasy, the king got an opportunity to go and massage the lotus feet of the Lord. And he was reciting the Gopi Geet, which are different verses in the 10th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam. And Lord Chaitanya was so happy, so ecstatic hearing the verses, and he actually embraced the king. So the king did get the association of Lord Chaitanya. But internally, Lord Chaitanya really appreciated the king as a great devotee. Externally, he showed what a sannyasi should do. So, but now we're hearing, okay, Srila Prabhupada, he's associating with the king, so how can we understand that? Well, in the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 3, text 29, it's explained in the purport there that actually a devotee is more kind than the Lord because he understands the purpose of the Lord, and therefore he's willing to take all kinds of risks just to be able to share the holy names of the Lord with people who seem like they're not appropriate to associate with, just to be able to bring them closer to Krishna. So here Srila Prabhupada, he's showing how merciful he is. He's not rejecting the association of the king, and he also didn't push aside the lady disciples as well. Like, we hear about how Lord Chaitanya wouldn't associate with women at all. The women had to pay obeisances from far away. But Srila Prabhupada allowed the woman to speak to him and to associate with him quite closely. Not that he didn't follow the etiquette, but he took whatever opportunity he could to try and share Krishna consciousness, and that was the foremost thing that he was always doing, even at the risk of being criticized by his godbrothers for doing that, even at the risk of being criticized by the whole world for doing that. Still, what he really wanted was to be able to share Krishna consciousness with anyone and everyone, regardless of who they were or where they were coming from. And he knew how to do that in the best way. So here he is with this king, and they have this really wonderful program. and Srila Prabhupada was chanting, and the audience, they really appreciated Srila Prabhupada very much. And then it says, the Yuvraj then invited him to come down off the stage and mount an open horse carriage that was waiting to take him on a grand reception tour through the town. The carriage had seen better days, but was still quite stately. By this time, several thousand people had gathered, eager to greet Srila Prabhupada. Their enthusiasm and veneration surcharged the atmosphere. Hansaduta, Harikesh, and I were swept up in the excitement. Harikesh rushed about, snapping photos for Back to Godhead magazine. Hansaduta went off with the mridanga to join Yashamati Nandana and Haya in Kirtan at the front of the procession. Srila Prabhupada and the king climbed into the carriage, sitting opposite each other, Prabhupada on the back seat. On Prabhupada's request, I was privileged to ride on the back running board. Taking the colorful umbrella from the chowkidar's grasp, Shri Shri Radha Radhanath ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. I leaned over to provide a shield for his divine grace from the sun's rays. Then we were off on an hour-long ride that took us through the main parts of the town and up the central thoroughfare leading to Sanand Palace. It was wonderful. All along the route, excited people clamored to get a glimpse of Srila Prabhupada and his foreign disciples. A large crowd preceded us, with several hundred women following behind. As the procession wound its way through the town, the lady spontaneously burst into chanting, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, without any prompting from our devotees. Although I've read in Prabhupada's books that village people in India are naturally inclined to be devotees, to actually see it practically manifested was a moving experience. The reception was spontaneous and genuinely heartwarming. There is a piety in India, especially in the villages, that simply doesn't exist anywhere else in the world. In the main bazaar, people came out on their balconies or rooftops and showered flowers or offered pranams. The street was hung with mango leaves and colorful strips of paper, fluttering like little flags in the breeze. As the carriage crept along, people pushed forward and repeatedly stopped it. Sometimes they'd give a garland to Srila Prabhupada. With great respect and devotion, others would offer him a brief puja from small trays equipped with a ghee lamp, a few grains of rice, some kumkum, a few paisa, a piece of fruit, and a few flowers. After waving the tray with the lighted lamp in small circles before him, they leaned forward to dot his forehead with the kumkum and then a grain of rice. Srila Prabhupada patiently accepted their offerings with great humility and appreciation, joining his palms together and blessing them with a smile and Hare Krishna. When we reached the palace entrance, the carriage came to a halt, turning to face the crowd. Prabhupada gave a short speech, then the carriage moved through a large arch into the privacy of the royal courtyard. The reception delighted Prabhupada. He commented that village people are all devotees because they naturally chant the holy names. So now they go to Sanand Palace. So this is the palace of the king. And Srila Prabhupada, he stayed there for some time with the king's family. And then Yashamati Nandana, he arranged for a large pandal tent to be erected, and there were going to be programs for the next 5 days that Srila Prabhupada was going to go to lecture at. On the way out of the Pandal area, Srila Prabhupada stopped the car at the entrance and inquired whether all the visitors were being given prasadam. He was shown some small white sugar beads which were commonly given out at many temples. He wasn't very impressed, but seemed to think it was better than nothing. We arrived back at the palace by 10:30 p.m. So now it's December 26, 1975. At about 7 a.m., Srila Prabhupada and his small yatra of devotees took a short morning walk in the countryside. It was a late start by his usual standard, but now that the winter season has set in, the sun is rising later. Walking down a rough dirt track in the open country, we saw that the entire district was flat, fertile and green. Unfortunately, almost every field for miles around was dedicated to growing tobacco. Prabhupada expressed his amazement at the foolishness of modern economic systems. He explained that people can easily grow whatever they need in their own district, but instead they grow a product they can't eat. Then they ship it somewhere else at great expense. With the money they receive, they buy the very food they could have grown themselves. This system does nothing but make their lives more complicated. And by becoming dependent on just one crop, livelihood is jeopardized because of the fluctuations of world markets, which they have no power to influence. So, Srila Prabhupada is pointing out that it's so foolish, these modern economic systems. We grow something we can't eat, then we have to pay so much for it to get exported and sold, just so that we can afford to buy something to eat. It just doesn't make any sense, right? And Srila Prabhupada in the first canto of Bhagavatam, chapter 10, text number 4, he explains that actually the basic principle of economic development is centered around land and cows. Because what do we need? We need grains, we need fruit, we need milk. And this we can all get from land and cows. And also in the third canto of Bhagavatam, he explains that according to the Vedic economic system, a person who has grains and cows, they are considered wealthy. Now we think people who have strips of specific kinds of paper are wealthy. But the real wealth is the grains and the cows, because you can't eat paper, but you can have milk and you can have grains. And he explains that actually all the economic problems in the world can be solved just by taking care of the cows and growing our own food. There's actually no scarcity. It's just that our management of this whole system is completely nonsensical, which is what he's pointing out. So, then it's written here that there was also some talk about George Harrison, the former member of the Beatles rock group, who has donated a large country estate just outside London to our society. Hansadutta has recently come from England, and his mention of Bhaktivedanta Manor naturally made Prabhupada think of George. Hansadutta reported that George was smoking and drinking again. Even though the report on George's activities wasn't very encouraging in spiritual terms, Prabhupada considered only the positive side of his character. No, he is a very good boy, George. He showed me in Bombay. He came to see me in Bombay. He is keeping Jagannath within his bead bag and chanting. Just before I came to India, Hansadutta added, Mukunda met him for about 2 hours. He said he was very friendly and said that he would arrange a 99-year lease for us. Give us the right to Bhaktivedanta Manor. The news pleased Srila Prabhupada. He is our well-wisher, a good boy. After breakfast, Yashamati Nandana requested Prabhupada to speak at a morning session of the Pandal. Srila Prabhupada is not really strong enough to do 2 lectures a day, but he agreed anyway. Because most people are at work in the mornings, only about 150 to 200 people turned up for the lecture. It was disappointing, but Prabhupada was undaunted. Last night he spoke in Hindi and Yashamati Nandana translated into Gujarati. But today Prabhupada announced that he would speak in English so they can understand, he said, meaning us, his 3 servants. So even though so many people were there from India who could speak Gujarati or Hindi, Srila Prabhupada spoke in English just for his 3 servants who were there. How sweet is that? Srila Prabhupada pointed out that because he is presenting Krishna as he is, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he is attracting so many young men and women from the West who are now preaching Krishna's message all over the world. We don't manufacture any concocted things. We simply distribute the message given by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And this is becoming effective practically. You can see these Europeans and Americans, Australians, all over the world. They did not know 4 or 5 years ago, or say 10 years ago, since I have begun this movement. They did not know what is Krishna. Although Bhagavad Gita was being presented by so many swamis and yogis, not a single man became a devotee of Krishna. So this presentation, because it is pure without any adulteration, it is acting very nicely. His recent conversation in Bombay about the Mayavadi sannyasi served to illustrate his point. One big Swami, he said that Krishna means black and that the black means unknown. Of course, nobody cares for his speech. Krishna is going on forward. Everyone is accepting Krishna. But this is the most unfortunate thing, that our men go there to the West to deprecate Krishna. So there was this sannyasi who was saying that actually no, Krishna means black and black means unknown, so we can't know who Krishna is. But Prabhupada is pointing out that this is not what the Krishna conscious philosophy is actually about. And because he is giving us the philosophy unadulterated as it is, people are naturally attracted to it. Finally, he stressed Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's order that all Indians should become gurus by understanding Bhagavad Gita as it is, not considering whether he was speaking to sophisticated residents of Bombay or simple villagers who perhaps had never even ventured beyond Sanand. He urged his audience to preach Krishna consciousness all over the world. So Bhagavan is not far away from you. He is staying within the core of your heart. If you qualify yourself as a devotee, he'll speak with you. But if you commit offenses, thinking Krishna as an ordinary man, then Krishna will never give you instruction. So our request is that you study Bhagavad Gita. And today is a wonderful day specifically to study Bhagavad Gita. Every day is a wonderful day, but specifically today because it's the day on which Bhagavad Gita was spoken, just over 5,000 years ago. Though devoid of real Vedic qualifications, it was still very satisfying to be used by Srila Prabhupada as examples of the efficacy of Krishna consciousness. It always pleases Prabhupada to be able to point out how the Westerners have eagerly taken up his mission. He gives us credit far beyond what we deserve. And it is not simply propaganda either. In private, he also compliments us for having made the sacrifice of preaching on his behalf. He is always encouraging, correcting, and pushing us on to greater and greater degrees of surrender to Krishna. In the afternoon, the king and many local village leaders came for darshan. They discussed the need to educate the people in spiritual values. Prabhupada again brought up the point that growing cash crops, such as tobacco, was senseless. He informed them that he was prepared to travel to every village to preach Bhagavad Gita, perform kirtan, and distribute prasadam if they were willing to organize it. The evening program began late but was well attended, from 8 o'clock to 9:30 p.m. Thousands of people poured into the grounds and enjoyed bhajans until Prabhupada began his lecture on Bhagavad Gita, chapter 16, text 7. Those who are demoniac do not know what is to be done and what is not to be done. Neither cleanliness, nor proper behavior, nor truth is found in them. Once more he spoke in English, his strong, clear voice amplified above the clamor, and Yashamati Nandana translated into Gujarati. He explained that one's birth or upbringing are inconsequential. Krishna consciousness is for everyone who wants to take it. According to Varnashrama Dharma, the brahmanas are called Shuchi, which means pure. But this Shuchi, the opposite word is Muchi. So there's this Bengali Vaishnava poet, and he says, Suchi hoy, Muchi hoy, Yadi Krishna Tyaje, Muchi hoy, Shuchi hoy, Yadi Krishna Bhaje. The purport is that if somebody takes to Krishna consciousness, even if he is born in the family of Muchi, then he becomes Shuchi. And if a person is born in a Brahmana family or Kshatriya family, but he does not take to Krishna consciousness, then he becomes a Muchi. This is also confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita. If he takes to Krishna consciousness, then he's eligible to go back home, back to Godhead. So even a Muchi or a Papa Yoni, born in the low-grade family, if he takes to Krishna consciousness, he becomes a Devata. This is also confirmed in the Srimad Bhagavatam by Shukadev Goswami. It says, so it doesn't matter where we are born. If we take to Krishna consciousness, then we become Suchi, purified, and he is eligible to go back home, back to Godhead. Later in the lecture, Prabhupada again displayed his determination to challenge the atheistic scientists, whom he described as asuric. Their main proposal is that there is no creator or God. The modern scientists, philosophers, Western people, they don't accept that God is the creator of everything, and their theory of creation is the chemical composition. They think that chemical combination is the cause of life. So the Asura's theory of creation is a chance theory, but we don't accept it. We are preaching against them, writing books against them. We are challenging this atheistic theory of creation. The Krishna consciousness movement is against the Asuras. Krishna also comes down to kill the Asuras. Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya chaduskritam. Asuras cannot flourish by their atheistic theory. Unless one comes to Krishna consciousness, he has to be put into the different types of Asuric yoni, lower species, to suffer in this material world. So the scientists, they're saying that actually chemicals are the cause of life. But what is the material body made up of? Chemicals, we can say that. But what happens at the time of death? The soul leaves the body, and then how can you say that the chemicals are the cause of life if the life force is seated within the body, enabling the body to move around? So it doesn't make any sense practically. And we know that Krishna is Sarva Karana Karanam, he's the cause of all causes, he's the Supreme Creator. And the Supreme Creator is a personality, because how can we have something that God doesn't have? He has what we have and more than that. So what do we have? We have personality, we're individuals, we have things we like, things we don't like. So Krishna is the same. He's a personality and the cause of all causes. And the creator of the entire universe, ultimately, this material universe, and each and every one of us are just parts and parcels of him. So this theory that chemicals create life doesn't really make a lot of sense. Srila Prabhupada summarized by explaining how easy it is to become Krishna conscious, urging everyone to adopt the universal panacea given by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. To take to this Krishna consciousness is made very easy during this Kali Yuga. Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Nama eva kevalam, kalo nasteva, 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 nasteva gatir anyata. Kalo, in this age, if you take to Krishna consciousness, simply chant Hare Krishna, then you become a Devata. This is our program. So our only request is that in whatever position you are, it doesn't require to be changed. Simply take to Krishna consciousness. Chant Hare Krishna, and gradually you'll become a Devata. That is the recommendation of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Remain in your place, but be Krishna conscious. It is not difficult at all. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. The crowd was clearly impressed. I doubt anyone had ever spoken so directly and forcefully to them, yet they appreciated it. Even though it was very late, most of the audience stayed after Prabhupada left to see a film depicting Krishna consciousness around the world. Srila Prabhupada is saying it's easy. In whatever position you are, just start chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. It's so easy. It's so simple. It's so simple we miss the point. We don't have to stand on one leg for thousands of years. We don't have to try to chant so many different mantras for thousands of years. All we have to do is chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra and follow the regulative principles. It's so simple and so sublime. Hare Krishna. Are there any questions, comments, or corrections? His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki, Gaur Brahmanande.